So in this unit, we're also going to be getting into Chapter 2, Symbolization, and we'll see there are a bunch of sort of smaller pieces to that topic in this video, and so I'll be doing a bunch of smaller videos. In this video, I'm just going to set up the basic principles and where we're going with Chapter 2, Symbolization. So the basic principles of Chapter 2 Symbolization are the same as those of Chapter 1. You find the main connective of a sentence, you symbolize it, and then you look at the components and you symbolize them. If they're atomics, they turn into sentence letters. Otherwise, you find their main connectives, symbolize those main connectives, and then turn to the components, and just keep going. And it's the same in Chapter 2. The only difference is that we now have a wider variety of main connectives. In Chapter 1, we had one one-place connective negation and one two-place connective, the conditional. Now we have three more two-place conditionals, and, or, and if and only if. But they have the same grammar, or the same basic grammar as if does. So we could say Damn is a great album if Kendrick is a great rapper. We can say Damn is a great album and Kendrick is a great rapper. We can say Damn is a great album or Kendrick is a great rapper. And we can say Damn is a great album if and only if Kendrick is a great rapper. These are, so we have and, or, and if and only if going in the same place that if goes. So just as the grammar of the double arrow and the wedge and the V are the same as the grammar of the arrow in the logical language, so in English, the words and, or, and if and only if can play the same grammatical role as if. As we'll see, and or can also do other things, but in this basic way, it's just the same. It's just a matter of getting the grammar right is done exactly the same way. It's just that the connective gets symbolized differently because it's a different connective. It gets symbolized, right, and turns into a different symbol than the if turns into. So what are the difficulties? Well, so just as if then has different variants given that, assuming that, and then the only if. So and or, and if and only if also have variants. So you need to know those and recognize, okay, this phrase is a variant for and or, if and only if. Then there's some issues with scope. If you remember, we talked about how when there are multiple conditionals in a sentence or a conditional and a negation, how do we figure out which is the main connective, which goes higher in the tree, which do we symbolize first? And we use the removal test, but then there are complications like, okay, if the sentence would otherwise be ambiguous, then the comma tells us that the main connective is the one that makes it break where the comma goes, and so on. So just so in Chapter 2, there will be some particular issues about how to figure out which of it, say an and or an or, has scope, which goes higher in the tree, which of them is the main connective. Remember, the scope of a connective is where it is in the tree. It's what the part of the tree that it is above. And then we'll see there's some other constructions with and or that can be turned that where and or don't function as sentential connectives. So I can say Bob and Jim run, and there the and is part of a complex subject. It's joining the words Bob and Jim. It's not connecting two sentences. So we'll look at that a little bit as well. So those are the main sort of topics that we'll be getting into. The basic fundamental thing is exactly the same. It's just that you have to, the grammar is the same, you're just turning an and into a different symbol than you turn an if into. But then there are ways in which and does different things that you need to understand. So we'll be talking about those in the other videos.